In order to consider sports betting as investment as your own company, it's important to learn two crucial skills in sports betting, which are bet selection process and money management skills. By bet selection process, I mean you need to develop method that helps you find profitable bets. You need to estimate chances of teams better than the bookmaker. And money management means that we need to create a safe staking plan, because even successful players will have a worse period of time, so we need to prepare ourselves ahead of time. In this particular presentation, we will cover first part of this tool, which is bet selection process. I know three methods that successful players use to win at sports betting. The first one is becoming an expert in reading odds movements. The second is becoming an expert in some minor, less popular league. You pick one league and specialize in this. The third method that you can use is to rely on statistics. Before I go ahead and discuss these approaches in more detail, I want to start by saying that sports betting is far from easy, even though it might look easy when one begins. At the same time, it's fascinating because you can actually win here, unlike in casino when you compete against the machine that has built-in advantage and you are set to lose no matter what long term. And here you compete against human beings, so it becomes a challenge between you and them. If you know how to estimate chances of teams, which is subjective event, then the bookmaker you have a chance to be successful. Let's move now to the first of the strategy, which is learning odds movements. Usually sportsbook starts with an offer on the game. It's 1.9, 1.9 on both sides, and they start receiving money on both teams. And if more money is being placed on one of the teams in comparison to the other, the bookmakers are forced to lower the odds of this team in order to make the other team more attractive, so they would receive balance action that reduce the risk. Sometimes the odds movement happens as a result of some important news like injury of key player, but for the sake of this discussion, it's safe to assume that all odds movements are results of money that is being placed on the teams. The key here is to know what kind of money created the odds movement, because we have two possibilities here. First one is that it's public money, and by public money I mean just the average person that uses the knowledge that is available on betting forums. And then the other possibility is that it's smart money that has caused this odds movement. By smart money I mean the professional players that always work in groups as a syndicates that have big knowledge, big bankrolls, and they have very inside information that is not easily accessible. In general, we want to be on the same side as smart money, so we want to follow the same bets, the same teams as they do, of course assuming that we decide that odds hasn't dropped too much already. In the other scenario, when odds moved down because of public activity, we generally want to be on the other side of this coin, because the other team became more attractive just for free as a result of some irrational betting by public opinion that happened. So we generally want to be on the opposite side. The other method that successful players use is to rely on inside information. We need to remember here that bookmaker has one very important disadvantage, that they cover a lot of games at the same time. So at the same time they offer the prices for English Premier League and for Japanese League or Colombian League. So if you pick one of these leagues and you specialize in it by following the information, the news, you have a chance to estimate chances of teams better than the bookmaker because you are using information that he doesn't have. The third method that you can use is to rely on statistics. I'm sure you know this type of games when the final score is 1-1, but you actually watch the game and you know that one of the teams was much stronger. They had more ball possession, they were more dangerous in the general. And because sportsbooks have to cover so many games at the same time, they use only basic statistics to estimate odds. They see how many points the team have, their table position, so they don't really know what really happened in the game. But if you go deeper in statistics than them, you might know the real strength of the team, and your information is based on real performance of the team, because if the situation that the team was unlucky in the final score happens a few times in a row, then there is even better situation for you because the team is more undervalued. People and bookmaker don't see that it's the real value of this team, that they are a really good team that just underperformed temporarily. And the same thing with the good teams that are overpriced, overvalued, like it's stock market. You want to know what's really going on in company and not just rely on their results.
And luckily we don't have to watch every game possible, because using statistics is closest thing possible to know what happened in the game without actually watching it.
Another helpful way in this particular strategy is to create your own rating systems, because this way you take into account what type of opponents your team faced so far, because it's different accomplishment to win against difficult opponent like Barcelona than to win against mediocre opponent like Getafe. This is another way to know whether the team has been lucky or unlucky so far. And in the next parts of this presentation we will discuss money management, because even if you are successful in selecting bets, you still need to be very careful. We need to remember that we deal with randomness here, so anything can happen short term.
And we need to be prepared ahead of time to organize sports betting as own company.
And I would like to encourage you to join my mailing list to get access to further parts of this presentation, as well as the profits section on my website, when you can see how my method performs in real time, and to visit my Facebook page.
And if you are wondering at this point who I am, I come from Poland and I've been involved in sports betting for 10 years now, but it was only a few years ago since I started to properly bet my selections. Before, I was just educating myself and testing different strategies.
So I don't have big bankroll so far. I have low stakes, and website that I created, 30bets.com, is my way to share some of my knowledge of my method to people in exchange for money, so I could bet more on my selections. I hope you agree that it's the fair deal, and enjoy as much as you can, because I'm not sure if my website will last forever.